December 5, 1945. 5 U.S. Navy bombers take off from Florida for a routine training mission. The weather? Clear. The pilots? Experienced. But within 3 hours, the Atlantic Ocean would swallow them without leaving a single trace. No wreckage. No oil slicks. No bodies. This is the event that turned a stretch of water into a global obsession. This is the moment the world first feared. The Bermuda Triangle. At 2:10 p.m., Flight 19, led by Lieutenant Charles Taylor, began its mission. But by 3:40 p.m., the radio crackled with a voice filled with pure confusion. Everything looks strange, even the ocean. We are entering white water, nothing seems right. We don't know where we are. Taylor was a combat veteran. Yet, he was reporting that both of his compasses had failed. He was blind in an ocean that he knew like the back of his hand. Back at the base, the controllers were helpless. They watched as the signal faded into a wall of static. The Navy didn't just lose 5 planes. They lost 6. Within minutes of the disappearance, a massive PBM Mariner flying boat, carrying 13 crew members, was sent on a search and rescue mission. It reached the last known coordinates of Flight 19. And then, it too vanished. In a single afternoon, 6 aircraft and 27 men had been erased from existence. The Navy launched one of the largest searches in history. Hundreds of ships and planes combed thousands of square miles. They found nothing. The official Navy report famously stated that the planes disappeared as if they had flown to Mars. This wasn't just a navigational error. This was the birth of a legend. A 500,000 square mile graveyard that defies logic and challenges science. But was Flight 19 the first? Or had this Devil's Triangle been claiming souls for centuries? To find the truth, we have to go back to the man who discovered the New World and found a nightmare instead. Long before airplanes flew into the clouds, the Bermuda Triangle was already hungry. For centuries, this stretch of water was known by sailors as a graveyard without tombstones. Ships would enter, but only ghosts would remain. To understand how deep this curse goes, we have to travel back to the very beginning of modern history, to the night of October 11, 1492. Christopher Columbus, the man who crossed the Atlantic to find the New World, was sailing through these exact coordinates. He looked out into the dark night and saw something that defied explanation. In his official ship logs, Columbus documented a strange, glowing light flickering in the distance. Hours later, a massive bolt of fire shot from the sky, crashing directly into the ocean. The next morning, his crew panicked. The ship's compasses were no longer pointing north. They were spinning out of control. Columbus was trapped in a realm where the laws of nature seemed to bend. But the true horror of the triangle is not just that it destroys, it is how it leaves things behind. In 1872, a British brig named the Dei Gratia spotted a ship drifting aimlessly near the edge of the triangle. It was the Mary Celeste. When sailors boarded her, the scene was chilling. The ship was in perfect condition. The cargo was untouched. Food was still on the tables. The crew's personal belongings were exactly where they should be. But not a single soul was on board. 10 people had completely vanished into thin air, leaving no struggle, no blood, and no answers. As technology evolved, the tragedies only grew larger. March 1918. The United States is fighting in World War I. The USS Cyclops, a massive Navy collier ship carrying over 10,000 tons of manganese ore and 309 passengers, sails into the triangle. It is a floating fortress. It has a state-of-the-art radio system. Yet, as it passes through the fateful waters, it never sends a distress signal. No SOS. No calls for help. The US Navy launched a massive search, but the ocean offered no clues. 309 lives, erased without a single floating piece of wood. For hundreds of years, the ocean kept its secrets. The world blamed sea monsters, ancient curses, and alien interventions. But as the mid-20th century approached, science finally decided to fight back. Investigators began to look beneath the waves, discovering terrifying natural anomalies that could explain the unexplainable. For decades, the world blamed the Bermuda Triangle on aliens and ancient curses. But when oceanographers finally mapped this 500,000 square mile graveyard, they discovered something far more terrifying: nature's perfect trap. The first breakthrough came from the ocean floor, home to massive, unstable fields of methane hydrates. Deep inside the Earth's crust, highly pressurized methane gas is trapped in a frozen state. When an underwater landslide occurs, these gas pockets rupture. Millions of tons of methane rush to the surface in a colossal surge of bubbles, instantly reducing the water's density. A ship floats because of buoyancy. But when the ocean turns into a frothy foam, it loses all ability to hold weight. The water beneath the hull literally vanishes. Any vessel caught above the eruption drops like a stone into a void, sinking to the bottom in less than 60 seconds, leaving no debris, no oil slick, and zero time to send an SOS. But methane gas couldn't snatch airplanes out of the sky. For that, science had to look at the cockpit instruments. For centuries, navigators reported that their compasses went completely haywire here. The culprit? A rare phenomenon called magnetic anomaly. The Earth has two north poles, geographic north and magnetic north. In most places, they don't line up, and pilots must calculate the difference to stay on course. But the Bermuda Triangle sits on an invisible line where true north and magnetic north perfectly align. Within this zone, compass variation drops to absolute zero. If a pilot is flying blindly through clouds or night, this sudden shift introduces a fatal error. A mistake of just 2 degrees will quietly push an aircraft hundreds of miles off course, guiding it straight into the empty, unforgiving Atlantic. Flight 19 wasn't taken by UFOs, they were blinded by geography. Yet, as these answers came to light, meteorologists looked up at the sky and found an aerial monster that no radar could predict. Even if a ship escapes the gas from below, and a plane survives the magnetic confusion from within, the Bermuda Triangle has one final, brutal layer of defense: the weather. This isn't just ordinary storm activity. It is home to some of the most violent and unpredictable atmospheric anomalies on Earth. The first meteorological monster hides inside the clouds. Satellite imagery recently revealed the existence of massive, hexagonal clouds hovering over the region. These 6-sided cloud formations act like literal air bombs. When they rupture, they blast massive channels of air straight down toward the ocean surface, creating microbursts with winds exceeding 170 miles per hour. These invisible walls of air hit with the force of a Category 5 hurricane, capable of snapping the wings off an aircraft or flipping a medium-sized ship in a single second. But when these air bombs smash into the ocean surface, they trigger something even more terrifying: rogue waves. The Bermuda Triangle is a geographical crossroads where the fast-moving Gulf Stream current collides with unpredictable Caribbean storms. When multiple massive waves crash into each other from different directions, they don't cancel out. Instead, they merge, multiplying their energy until they form a single, towering wall of water. A rogue wave can reach heights of over 100 feet, carrying thousands of tons of pressure per square foot. No modern radar can predict them. They appear out of nowhere on a calm day, strike with catastrophic force, and vanish back into the sea. For a ship caught in its path, survival is mathematically impossible. The vessel is crushed instantly and pushed into the deep trenches below. Yet, as science finally unmasked these natural killers, independent researchers stumbled upon a deeper, more shocking truth. The real secret of the Bermuda Triangle wasn't hidden in the water or the air. It was hidden inside a massive, global lee. Methane gas, magnetic anomalies, and 100-foot rogue waves are all real scientific dangers. But they happen all over the world, not just in one specific triangle. This raises a disturbing question: why did the entire planet become obsessed with this particular stretch of water? The answer is simple. The mystery of the Bermuda Triangle was entirely manufactured. The legend wasn't born in the ocean. It was born on a typewriter. In 1964, a pulp fiction writer named Vincent Gaddis coined the phrase "the Bermuda Triangle" in a sensationalized magazine article. He took completely unrelated shipwrecks, exaggerated the details, and stitched them together to create a fake supernatural hot zone. A decade later, another writer named Charles Berlitz published a book called The Bermuda Triangle. It became a global bestseller, selling millions of copies. Berlitz claimed that thousands of ships were being stolen by UFOs and underwater cities. But there was a massive problem: Berlitz lied. In 1975, a research librarian named Lawrence Kush decided to fact-check every single disappearance listed in Berlitz's book. What he found was shocking. Berlitz had systematically faked the data to sell books. Ships that Berlitz claimed had mysteriously vanished on calm days had actually sunk in violent, well-documented hurricanes. Vessels that supposedly disappeared inside the triangle actually sank thousands of miles away, in the Pacific and Indian Oceans. In some cases, Berlitz wrote about the eerie disappearances of ships that never even existed. The Bermuda Triangle wasn't a geographical graveyard. It was a marketing masterpiece. Publishers and television networks realized that mystery sold far better than the boring truth. They created a multi-million-dollar myth that captured the global imagination, ignoring the fact that human error and bad weather happen everywhere. But the final nail in the coffin of this legend didn't come from a librarian. It came from the cold, hard numbers of the world's biggest insurance corporations. The ultimate truth about the Bermuda Triangle doesn't rely on theories or ghost stories. It relies on the coldest, most unbiased thing on Earth: raw data. If this region were truly an anomalous death trap, the multi-billion-dollar maritime insurance industry would be the first to react. Lloyd's of London, the world's oldest and largest marine insurance market, has been tracking global shipping accidents for centuries. Their official verdict? The Bermuda Triangle does not exist. According to their records, and those of the U.S. Coast Guard, the percentage of ships and planes lost in this area is no higher than in any other well-traveled part of the world's oceans. The Bermuda Triangle is a massive geographical crossroads. It is one of the most heavily congested shipping lanes on the planet, connecting the United States, Europe, and South America. Millions of commercial vessels, cruise ships, and private flights cross these waters every single year. Statistically, when you have that much traffic combined with sudden tropical storms and unpredictable ocean currents, accidents will happen. If you look at a map of global shipwrecks, the Triangle doesn't even make the top 10 most dangerous waters. Humanity created a monster out of coincidence, bad math, and sensationalized media. We wanted to believe that there was a portal, a curse, or an alien base beneath the waves, because a mysterious graveyard is far more exciting than the boring reality of human error and bad weather. Flight 19 wasn't swallowed by a vortex, they ran out of fuel after getting lost in the dark. The USS Cyclops wasn't taken by UFOs, it was an overloaded ship caught in an unrecorded storm. The mystery of the Bermuda Triangle is finally solved. The waters are deep, the currents are violent, and the weather can be deadly. But the only real magic in the triangle was the illusion we created ourselves.